Is Bitcoin's price being manipulated? That is going to be the topic for today's video. Bitcoin, it's been dropping off a cliff. It's just today it's recovered and then dropped again. And so I think it's a good time to talk about to what degree is Bitcoin being manipulated by, the big players. The, the ETF, in theory, you can always have BlackRock and the big ETF players manipulating, and the whales manipulating. Those guys know how those market makers, those big players know exactly how to manipulate basically any security, any asset. And I mean, if you're going super tinfoil hat, I think it's important to think about to what degree things are being manipulated, right? The big guys, there's no question, Kramer and with the changing sentiment and en masse, in the news, talking about certain things on certain mainstream media figures talking about assets as either bearish or bullish, and as I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware, the Kramer whatever stat or chart that anytime he says something's good, it's time to sell, and vice versa. And coming back to Bitcoin, I just want to talk about, because you're clicking on this video, you probably have some Bitcoin and you have some stake in it, and this is just another reminder. We're all in this together, and it again, if Bitcoin, this is just my position, not financial advice, but if Bitcoin is ever above, roughly, it's hard to say a set number, but in between the 35 and 40,000 range, 41,000 I think it was. For me, it's whatever the price was before the big players bought. So although that's not exactly equivalent, because as time moves on, more people get into the thing, more coins are lost, more adoption happens, more people wake up to Bitcoin. That number theoretically will be higher, but for the sake of argument, if it happened today and it went to 42,000, I would have zero, this is just my perspective, I would have zero worry, because to me, Bitcoin was pure, not pure, but there's very little, there's a greater degree of decentralization before BlackRock got in, specifically. That's a lot of Bitcoin that's being bought by somebody who is absolutely a part, a company that's absolutely a part of the, governments and a huge player in markets and just the whole system in finance. So that's just my position again. So basically, not clickbait, but it's a reminder, because if you're worried about manipulation, again, I implore you to do more research on Bitcoin. That's how I feel. If you have, I know it's really hard to not think about the fiat price. And that's just my thesis. Some people maybe just, I don't agree with it, but if your view on Bitcoin is to get rich and to, sell at the right time and buy low and all that stuff, that could be great in theory, but I would argue against it, because I believe that you just haven't done enough educating of yourself. You haven't educated yourself enough. I really believe, again, I'm a guy who's over 10,000 hours. It's all I think about since 2017. Every day I'm looking at the price. Every day I'm looking, which I guess is not great, but I really try and frame my mind to look at the price as still, even though I don't have any dry powder, the lower it goes, the more it's even not me, other people, individuals can get in, they can get some more Satoshis than they otherwise would have been able to get at 100K, so if they're buying with fiat, which is 99.9% of people that are buying and selling, it's the days of Obviously, I don't have to say that, but the days of mining, for the little guy are over, and so you have to buy with fiat. So that's basically the point of this video. I just want to again implore anyone who is, again, you clicked on this video, you have some stake, and it's historically very volatile. That's another thing I'll say is that future or past results do not guarantee future results, and or however what I'm trying to say. And people, a lot of people worry about that volatility. I know psychologically, we're thinking about that 17 is the previous all-time low for the last drop. It's 17K, and it's like a lot of people are talking about it, and I tend to agree, unless there's a catastrophic FTX like event or world war. I don't see why we have to have another bear market. This is a different time, this is the first time where there is potential to not have cycles anymore because of the ETFs. Once that happened, to me that was checkmate on the Ponzi scheme that is fiat, because once ETFs are approved and they're spot ETFs, anyone can buy Bitcoin. Anyone. And I talked to my financial advisor before I fired both of them, and I went, what do you think about crypto? They couldn't even talk about it, and one divulged that her husband is pissed because he's married to her and he can't buy any. And I'm like, well, that's a financial advisor's husband. There's little things like that. And I did the work, and I'm good enough with finance that I understand kind of. For me, I didn't find it worth it to have pay anyone these fees. Anyway, that's a different point. But I guess my point bringing that up is even a lot of they don't talk about it because they can't. A lot of the people that are on the teat of finance and are the part of the legacy system weren't even allowed to buy or even talk about it because it was out of their licensing, and now they can. So again, that's why it's a different. We are now in a potential for a completely different cycle. I really want to be clear about that, because if you're worried about manipulation, it's very important to understand that. And it could be, I really want to be a voice to us. Hopefully, again, it's not financial advice, but to the degree that you believe I know what I'm talking about, or believe that I'm truly trying to help, it can be absolutely shattering to somebody that is just right there, right? Where you understand Bitcoin. Again, you clicked on this video, you've done a lot of research, but you're just not quite there, and you still haven't got the memo about maybe we're not gonna have another cycle. At 250,000, fiat to Bitcoin price, there's gonna be a lot of you that sell. And I don't think people really understand. It sounds crazy because that's how psychology of money works, and that's how a new paradigm shift with a new asset and it's a paradigm shift in finance, in my opinion. And if that is true, which is what I believe, 250K is nothing. It's gonna be 500. It could be 500 a week after. And how are you gonna feel? How are you gonna feel when Bitcoin's at 500K and you sold, and then how you feel again when you sell Bitcoin and it doubles? It's so hard to buy again because you know what I mean? You realize you effed up. So how are you gonna feel it? Just a mental experiment real quick for you. How are you gonna feel? Imagine you sell Bitcoin at 150,000. You have a whole coin. You somehow got a whole coin, right? You sell it 150K, you got $150,000 of fiat, throw in a nice high yield savings account, maybe you buy a nice condo. How are you gonna feel when Bitcoin's at 250K? How hard is it gonna be to buy at 250K? Then 500K, then $1 million, 5 million fiat to Bitcoin price. then 10 million, 20 million per coin. And again, I'm only using fiat as a way to express how somebody who obviously sold at 150K will be thinking. Not that I believe, or I try not to think fiat price. Again, in the framing of selling, but I think of fiat in the framing of buying. I.e., you get more satoshis for your dollar. I.e., you get the most scarce, desirable, immutable, undeniable money for more for your dollar. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to the bank. Just got here and gonna throw some fiat in there. Maybe buy some Bitcoin. We'll see what happens, guys. But yeah, just wanted to, again, is the market being manipulated? Maybe, but it shouldn't dissuade you. And be very careful with the news you read and any of the fear that's coming. Remember, we were just at, we're just at like 16, just at like 41, like these prices were just in the rear view mirror. And just don't sell your Bitcoin. I mean, that is financial advice. Don't sell your Bitcoin. Have a good one, guys. Hang in there.